15th, 2020, the world as we know it changed overnight. Unprecedented is an understatement. It is the strength of a collaborative to become the leader in the time of uncertainty. While the door closed on schools, businesses, and human interactions, KITE quickly adapted to the needs of children and families in Enfield. Local organizations and agencies' knowledge sharing results in a whole child approach to early education. These are examples of how KITE navigated the new normal. In crisis rises the opportunity to do good. KITE's One Community campaign exemplifies how collaborations strengthen our community as a whole. To meet the needs of Enfield's children and families during the crisis, KITE repurposed $2,000 from the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving grant to purchase lawn signs. Partnering with Eppendorf and a donation from the Enfield Rotary Club, KITE matched donations up to $15,000. Symbols of kindness and community began to pop up in neighborhoods all around Enfield. Total donations to the Enfield Food Shelf resulted in the equivalent of 84,833 meals.
Hello, I'm Kathleen Steveny from the Enfield Food Shelf. I just want to thank everyone at KITE, as well as everyone who contributed to the One Community campaign. This donation will provide meals to our friends and families in need in the Enfield area. We here at the Enfield Food Shelf thank you so much for this generous donation, and we're so proud to be here to serve you. Thank you.
KITE works closely with Enfield's 3 primary schools on trauma-informed practice and social-emotional learning. Knowing schools would be unable to hold in-person orientations this year, KITE worked with each school to create a book that showed kindergartners what the building looked like, what their schedules would be during the day, and introduced them to some of the people they would be meeting. Having a book that they could hold on to and look at as often as they wanted to alleviated stress and helped children transition successfully to school.
I also wanted to thank KITE. So in the mail this week, and I don't know if any of the other K2 school liaisons got this, but I got an amazing Hazardville Memorial School picture book that KITE produced for us, and I wanted to thank KITE for that. Basically, it says, welcome to your new school, and there's full color pages. It's a book like this big, and it's a dozen or more pages long, and there's pictures of the principal. This is Mrs. Hunter. This is who you're going to see when you come into the school. This is our vice principal. Here's our library. Here's what our gym looks like. And it was a great little book, and especially the building, where I spent 6 years. Now I have a nice little memento. It's nice to have that, so I want to thank KITE for that.
Last October, KITE partnered with United Way to bring together members of the Board of Ed, Town Council, and EPS administration with families for an ALICE discussion. Leaders of the community listened to first-hand accounts of families struggling to live just above the poverty line, which so many of our families are faced with during the pandemic. Through Zoom, KITE continues to convene and facilitate the 2Gen steering committee made up of various community partners. Members are finding these new connections invaluable, and it was through this that the One Community campaign was inspired.
The value in being part of 2Gen is that it provides opportunities for conversations between agencies and staff that might have not otherwise occurred. So for instance, even though the American Job Center is housed within a Snuntuck Community College, before 2Gen came to be, we hadn't had meaningful conversations about the intersections of our work. 2Gen provided that forum and that opportunity, and now we work closely with both the clients and the staff in the American Job Center looking at how we can best help our students who are unemployed at Assuntuck, but also their clients in terms of enrolling in our certificate and degree programs.
There has never been a greater need to support families than this year. The collaborative responded with unique ways to bring voices of family issues back to our table. KITE partnered with the FRC and ECDC to create a fatherhood group, which before the pandemic organized a nutrition and first aid event for dads and their children. KITE sits on Head Start's policy committee and facilitates the Community Resource Guide, providing families critical information regarding food, housing, and school registration. The growth of the family teacher organization at Stowe led to building-wide events and meetings with families from all 4 programs. Using Zoom, KITE reached parents through a series of online workshops to help support families' social and emotional needs during the pandemic.
As a parent, I think I'm not alone when I say that this year has brought a lot of challenges and struggles for my family. I know all of us have been really struggling with a lot of things with this whole pandemic. It has been a very different year, and I am truly thankful for the connections that I made and the help and support I received both during and before the pandemic through my involvement in KITE. I first started attending the meetings when I was in Parent Leadership Academy. I continued to attend after graduating DLA because I found them very informational, and I was amazed at the collaboration that took place with so many different local organizations and agencies. Through KITE, I was able to make connections that helped me find in-school counseling support for my son through the CHC, childcare and camp options for my son through the summer, activities for both my toddler and school-age child that were fun and educational. And I was able to have a voice in helping families like myself that were struggling financially and in need of support. I was also able to attend free workshops both in person and virtually that helped me tremendously as both a parent and as a professional. And I was able to become more involved in the community as well. I'm so thankful for KITE and all they do for our children and the community. I cannot say enough, and I stress that, enough positive things about KITE.
In the spring of 2020, KITE's Enfield Plays On 3-year campaign came to a close. However, we continue to work with early educators, teachers, and administrators on strategies to incorporate play into programs and curriculum. While our classrooms need to look different due to the pandemic, play is still how young children learn best. In fact, since children have had to social distance and not had the opportunities to play together, it is more critical than ever. KITE has been working with teachers to help them transfer past work on creating classroom play scenarios and using strategies that build executive function skills to work in classroom settings of the COVID world. Children are getting to experience the joy of playful learning while socially distant or remote learning.
Over the past few years, we have implemented the practice of opening up play scenarios in our classroom to help promote the executive function skills in our kindergartners. And it has just been amazing to watch the children play and learn at the same time and really enjoy themselves while developing those critical social skills and planning skills. In my classroom, one of the most favorite that we've done over the past few years has been opening a weather station. And with the installation of the weather satellites in our school courtyards, that has been even more beneficial to us because the children are able to check out the weather in the morning on the satellite, and then they get into the weather center and they're able to make accurate predictions of the weather or weather forecasts of weather across the country, not just here in Connecticut. And they're learning about different states and different weather patterns. It's just amazing. So to see the children taking on these roles of meteorologist, of researcher, of camera people, of bosses has been incredible. And I've noticed that not only are the children working in these small centers, but these centers are leading into other centers in the classroom, where last year we created a research center, and from there that research center became a Did You Know television show. And from there my students said, well, all these workers need to eat, so can we create a cafeteria? And they started feeding the workers. And then from there they said, well, can we teach them how to cook? So we ended up with not just a weather station, but we ended up with a television station with these different departments among the television station. And so now we think about, how do we take those kind of scenarios and how do we bring them home? How do we make them work for the children for distance learning? Well, there are many ways that we can adapt. We can ask the children to start collecting recycled materials at home and have them build their own scenarios, maybe in their bedrooms or in their kitchen or wherever it is that they're learning, to help promote these executive function skills and build the play scenarios. So we've started it with our classroom, where I've asked the children to create a weather tool at home. And it was great to see the children come up with these creative ways to create weather tools, where they use toilet paper tubes to create binoculars, or somebody used a paper towel tube to create a telescope. And then I actually had one child who created his binoculars, but he also made sure to tell me that he was wearing his scientist coat as well. So he was really getting into the role of the meteorologist. So even though we're in this time of COVID, can we create these play scenarios at home? Can we alter our thinking? Absolutely. We can change the way we're doing things and allow our kids to play and still have fun at the same time, whether they're home or whether they're in the classroom with us.
KITE learned how to adapt to a new way of doing our work as a collaborative due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Through the use of new technology, we were able to bring our professional development series online and partnered with the Giselle Institute for Child Development to offer training for teachers and providers to address the challenges resulting from the pandemic. Workshops over the spring and summer were very well attended. Attendance increased with each event, and the most recent sold out and hit the maximum capacity. Survey results reported 90% shared that the information was helpful and relevant to the current COVID-19 situation. All participants surveyed said that they would welcome additional professional development opportunities around these important topics.
Hello, I'm Barbara Hullock, second grade teacher at Hazardville Memorial School. It is a pleasure today to speak to you about PEG Oliveira and the beneficial trauma-informed workshops that I have attended, sponsored by KITE. PEG's workshops educated me on trauma and the adverse effects it can have on the developing brain, resulting in different and difficult behaviors. I now use strategies that assist me in seeing the whole child, who they are, and where they come from. For example, instead of saying, "What's wrong with this child?" my mindset is, what happened to this child? And how can I be a safe person for them? I have a better understanding of behaviors because those behaviors suggest a need, possibly a need of something I can provide. I have been building stronger relationships with children and their families in my classroom because of PEG's advice. PEG is a great listener. No matter the size or scope of a child's behavior, she listens, offers compassion, advice, and research-based feedback. Finally, these past few months, where we have all had extra stresses and are full of uncertainty, she has reminded us and me to stop and take care of ourselves. It's best practice to make sure my mental and physical health are taken care of so that I can provide a safe, happy, healthy, educational environment for the children that I'm surrounded. Thank you, and thank you, Peg.